Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at how low code and AI are revolutionizing
hmm
software development. You're probably here because you're already interested in these technologies, maybe for work, maybe for fun, maybe just out of curiosity.
It really is amazing to see how it's impacting everything.
Yeah, and we're going deep with research notes and expert insights from Khaled Driss.
Huh.
Oh, and we'll even take a look at OutSystems Project Morpheus. By the time we're done, you'll understand low code and AI, but you'll also be able to see the possibilities they hold for the future, for software development. Like, what does it all mean? And what about you, the listener? How does it affect you?
You definitely don't need to be a techie to get it.
Okay, so low code sounds pretty simple, right? But let's try to visualize it. Imagine you're building something with Legos.
Okay.
So instead of writing out all this complicated code, you have these visual platforms with pre-built components,
Mm.
like ready-made pieces. Think things like login screens, payment gateways, things like that.
And that's what's so great about it. You can just drag, drop, connect these pieces to create your application. It's so much faster. And it's more intuitive, so it's way less intimidating for people that don't know that much about coding.
It's kind of like building a house.
Right.
You have prefabricated walls and roofs.
Yeah.
You don't have to start with individual bricks.
Yeah.
And this approach is getting super popular.
hmm
Gartner predicts that 70% of new enterprise applications will be built using low code by 2025.
Wow.
That's from their report, The Alliance of Low Code and AI Reinvents Software Engineering.
That's a huge increase. It's because people need faster development cycles, and there's so much demand for custom software solutions these days.
Okay, but here's where things get really interesting. Now AI is coming into the picture. It's not just about low code being fast. It's also about low code being smart.
Hmm.
AI is becoming this super powerful tool within these platforms.
It's like a co-pilot. AI can handle all these boring tasks, generating optimized code, automating workflows, and it can even personalize user experiences.
I was reading the source FAQ, Low Code and AI Revolutionize Software Engineering. And it was talking about this thing called an AI-based mentoring system. Imagine having an AI friend that can guide you through the whole development process. It could offer suggestions and catch errors, like having an expert right there with you.
It's pretty revolutionary. Seasoned developers, newcomers, it could change how we all create software. It can bridge the skills gap and empower people to build complex applications, all with AI assistance.
So we're not talking about AI replacing developers, but making them better.
Right. It lets them focus on the big picture, creative problem solving, and strategic design, all the higher level stuff. And they can just leave the routine tasks to the AI.
So let's talk about some specific examples. Both of our sources highlight 7 key areas where this is all happening.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is intelligent code generation. Let's say you're building an online store, an e-commerce application. Instead of writing lines and lines of code for a product recommendation feature, you can just tell the AI what you need. Something like, suggest products based on past purchases, or suggest products based on browsing history. And the AI can just translate that into working code.
It's like magic.
That's wild. It's like you have a personal coding assistant. And it can speak fluent tech jargon. I mean, that could really open up software development to people that may not have traditional coding skills.
It really democratizes the process. Now, people with innovative ideas can bring them to life without learning all these crazy programming languages.
Okay, next we have automation.
Okay.
This one seems pretty obvious. AI can just take over these repetitive tasks, the kinds of things developers hate doing.
Think data validation, creating forms, or even setting up simple workflows. AI can take care of all that. Developers can just focus on the more creative parts of the project, the strategic stuff.
It's like having a ton of robots doing the hard work, so you can focus on design and functionality.
It's all about streamlining things. You can iterate faster and get the applications up and running much more quickly.
Okay, let's move on to personalization.
Okay.
In the digital world, people want unique experiences. That's where AI within low code gets really powerful.
These AI algorithms can look at user behavior, see their preferences,
Yeah.
and even look at the context. And then the apps can just adapt in real time. So we're talking personalized content, product recommendations, and even the user interface can be adjusted.
So it's like getting a tailor-made experience, not just a one-size-fits-all application.
Like a learning platform that can adapt to each student's needs. It can change the pace, the style, the lessons, the exercises. All that kind of stuff is possible now with AI-powered low-code platforms.
And let's not forget about that AI-powered mentoring we were talking about earlier. It's like having a coach that can not only suggest things, but also look out for potential errors or security vulnerabilities.
It's a game changer for new coders or people working on complex projects. The AI can give feedback and guidance and even predict problems.
Okay, next up, we're talking about user story generation.
Okay.
It might sound kind of technical, but it's super important for software development.
Basically, they're just short stories that describe how a user would interact with a feature of the application. It helps the developers really understand what users want, and then they can design something that's both functional and user-friendly.
So you just pretend you're the user,
Mm.
and you say, if I were using this app, what would I do? And how would I expect this to work?
Exactly. And AI can actually help generate these stories by looking at different use cases, different types of users, and all their different preferences. This way, the design process is more efficient, and the applications are built with the end user in mind from the very beginning.
Okay, so next we have test case generation.
Okay.
We need to make sure that the software actually works the way it's supposed to work, right?
Of course.
So AI can create tests, and these tests can cover all sorts of different scenarios, including all the unexpected cases. So that saves a ton of time. And make sure that the applications are thoroughly tested and more robust.
Yeah, it's like having an AI quality assurance team that's working 24/7 to find bugs.
Okay, last one. We need data for these tests, and it needs to be realistic data.
Exactly.
So this is where AI comes in. It can generate synthetic data that mimics real-world scenarios. And then we can use that data to test the applications and make sure they can handle all kinds of different inputs and user behaviors.
So it's like having a virtual testing ground. You can simulate how real users would interact with the app.
All right, so we've covered the 7 key applications of AI in low-code development. But are you ready for this? It's time to talk about Project Morpheus. You know, that thing that's like the Matrix?
It's a good comparison. Project Morpheus, it's being developed by OutSystems, and they want to be able to generate entire applications from just text descriptions. It's like Neo bending the rules of reality in the Matrix.
So what does that even mean? Are you saying I could just say, I want an app that does this and this and this, and it would just make it for me?
That's the goal. It's still being worked on. But it's pretty mind-blowing to think about the possibilities. You describe what you want, and Project Morpheus takes that and writes the code. It builds a basic app that developers can then work on.
That sounds like science fiction.
Yeah.
But it's really happening. How could something like that change software development?
Well, think about it. Anyone could create custom applications. Businesses, individuals, it doesn't matter if they know how to code or not, there could be a huge explosion of innovation. And we'd start seeing solutions for all these niche markets and very specific needs.
So instead of these big tech companies, we could see individuals and small businesses building their own solutions. That's really cool.
It is, but we also have to think about what that means for quality control. We might end up with a lot of poorly designed apps, or even malicious ones. As this technology develops, we need to have some rules, some standards to make sure things don't get out of control.
It's a good point. It's like we're giving everyone this super powerful tool. We have to be careful.
But the potential benefits are huge. This could really give people the ability to shape their own digital world.
It's not just about speed anymore. It's about empowerment.
Exactly. Low code and AI can give anyone the tools to create, to come up with new ideas, and to solve problems. Imagine a small business owner building their own inventory app, or a teacher creating a learning platform specifically for their students.
So we're breaking down the walls between the people that can code and the people that have great ideas. And with something like Project Morpheus, it seems like those walls are going to disappear completely.
We're heading towards a future where anyone can create software. All you need is an idea and the right tools. It's pretty exciting to think about.
And a little bit scary. So if you're that easy, what kind of app would you create?
That's a good question. It seems like we might start to see all these specialized applications for very specific things, maybe even apps that are only around for a short amount of time.
It's like the difference between mass production and something custom made.
Yeah. And as low code and AI get better and better, the line between developer and user is going to become less clear.
So we're all becoming developers.
In a way, yeah. In the future, anyone with an idea and the tools could create something. It's exciting. But it also means we're going to have to rethink what it means to be a developer and how we adapt to this new world.
It's like the printing press revolutionized how we access information. And now low-code and AI are revolutionizing how we create things.
That's a really good way to put it. And just like the printing press, low-code and AI have the potential to change everything.
It's definitely a paradigm shift. And it's going to have a huge impact on society. But with any revolution, there are always challenges, and we need to start thinking about how to face them now.
Of course. We're entering a new era of decentralized creation. So how do we make sure people are developing ethically? How do we promote responsibility? And what about all the potential disruptions? There are a lot of things to consider.
We have to think about the impact on jobs, on education,
Mm.
even on our own understanding of creativity and how it's changing.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. But it's also important to remember that we're not just talking about technology here, we're talking about people and
Yeah.
how we can use these tools to empower them.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what would you say is the key takeaway for our listeners? What's the one thing you really want them to remember?
Low code and AI are already transforming how we create software, and it's only going to become more important in the years to come. This is a real revolution, and it's happening right now.
We've talked about how these technologies can make software development more accessible and more efficient, and how they're empowering individuals and businesses. We're blurring the lines between developer and user and creating all sorts of exciting new possibilities.
And this is just the beginning. We're going to see even more incredible advancements and innovative applications.
So what's your final thought for our listeners? What should they take away from this?
The revolution is happening. Stay curious, explore these technologies, and don't be afraid to try new things. You might surprise yourself. And you might even become one of the leaders of the next wave of digital innovation. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one shaping the future of software and changing the world as we know it.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive, but keep an eye out for more episodes. We'll be back with another fascinating look at the cutting edge of tech soon. Thanks for listening.
It's a lot to think about, but it's also important to remember that we're not just talking about technology here, we're talking about people and how we can use these tools to empower them.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what would you say is the key takeaway for our listeners? What's the one thing you really want them to remember?
Low code and AI are already transforming how we create software, and it's only going to become more important in the years to come. This is a real revolution, and it's happening right now.
We've talked about how these technologies can make software development more accessible and more efficient, and how they're empowering individuals and businesses. We're blurring the lines between developer and user, and creating all sorts of exciting new possibilities.
And this is just the beginning. We're going to see even more incredible advancements and innovative applications.
So what's your final thought for our listeners? What should they take away from this?
The revolution is happening. Stay curious. Explore these technologies. And don't be afraid to try new things. You might surprise yourself. And you might even become one of the leaders of the next wave of digital innovation. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one shaping the future of software and changing the world as we know it.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive, but keep an eye out for more episodes. We'll be back with another fascinating look at the cutting edge of tech soon. Thanks for listening.